This is Steve Cochran, and this is Live from my office, directly from my office. You can't see me from where you are, but it's probably a good thing because what I'm wearing wouldn't be a good thing to have you view. All right, it's chaps in a cowboy hat. Is that too much information? Was that out loud? Look, I'm in my office alone. Things can get weird. Enough of that. Let's talk about this, and that is the guest today on Live from my office. First up, TEDDYG Greenstein. Teddy from pointsBET went from being an esteemed, highly decorated sports writer and genius of the Chicago Tribune to taking the reins at pointsBET and delivering the goods all the time. So, in this world of legalized sports gambling where you don't have to call your bookie Lenny No Knuckles, your last name here, and make sure they get paid, you can do it straight up with pointsBET. And two things are going to happen. Teddy is going to tell us about things you can wager on when it's not football season and have some fun with. And we're also, of course, going to talk about March Madness, along with my buddy Mark Carman. Mark Carman, who is part of all sorts of projects at CHGO, including the Bears podcast every day. Carms knows from basketball like just about nobody else. So Mark Carman and I will take on TEDDYG Greenstein from pointsBET. And by the end of us very quick podcast, you're going to have a good idea on how to win your office pool or to do it legally on pointsBET. I mean, it's your call. If you're living a life of crime, who am I to judge? So thank you for listening. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you are, whenever you can. And it's appreciated. And bring somebody else along to the Live from my office podcast. Now, once we finish with this, I want you to stick around because I'm going to give you a charity that you can contribute to on behalf of the heroes of Ukraine. It is helpheroesofUkraine.com. We'll talk a little more about it after you hear from the boys previously discussed on betting March Madness. But I'll tell you what we should do. You know what we can do? Every morning I'm on WLS, the Big 89. From 5:30 to 9. I hope you listen on the radio or on your smart device or you stream it. And it's the Steve Cochran Show every morning. And this morning, I had an opportunity to have a conversation that was a very difficult one, but one that had to be had because it was about a friend of the show, a young lady named Halia Dadula from Ukraine. And you can't make it up. It's a tragic story, but my hope is not to make you sad. My hope is that this clip will inspire you to do even more. And one of those is by contributing to organizations like helpheroesofUkraine.com. Here's the clip. Pat Brady's still here, and it's a good thing that you are, Pat, because this is an awful story, and it's one that needs to be told, so we're going to tell it. Our friend Halia Dadula, we met through your daughter, Maeve.
Yes.
And Maeve and Halia work together at a local school.
Yes.
St. Nicholas Cathedral, I'm being told. And among the kids that are there are refugees from Ukraine.
Yeah, and that's their job. They help these refugees acclimate. They teach them English. They help them do everything.
And Halia was here to learn a skill, social work, therapy, things that aren't as readily available back in Ukraine, and then take it home.
Exactly.
So she and Maeve became good friends. Maeve's a fabulous young lady and sort of big sister to her. And I was very excited last week when Halia got to go back for her sister's wedding scheduled for this coming Saturday.
Yes.
And Maeve got a reach out from Halia, I guess late Sunday. And keep in mind that Halia went back specifically to be at her sister's wedding. But apparently on Sunday, about 4:30 our time during a combat, or 4:30 their time during a combat mission, her sister's fiance, Dmytro Pashuk, was killed by a drone strike.
Oh, Jesus. That's terrible.
The minute they were invaded, he enlisted and went to fight the Russians.
A kamikaze drone in Kherson, I mean, there are no words. We certainly, if it's in your heart, we ask for prayers for Halia's family, for her, for Maeve certainly, because she loves Halia, and just for the people of Ukraine, because while we get up this morning and we bitch about traffic or whatever's going on in our lives, in balance, I don't have anything to complain about. Whether it's my birthday, your birthday, or anybody else's birthday. We got it so good. We're so lucky. And again, on the other side of the world, this is happening every day. So these kids, and I don't know how old the sister was, younger, older, but let's say mid-20s.
Yes.
They're just starting their life out together.
Yeah.
And he's gone.
Yeah. Their life will never be the same.
And as I understand it, not a military guy, but the minute that this happened, good-looking kid, super athletic, and the minute this happened, he said, I will defend my country, and he signed up.
Yeah, he went immediately. They all did that. From talking to Halia, all they say is, we will win this war or we will die. So there's no middle ground here. There's no peace accords with the war criminal Putin. They're going to fight till they're done or they're going to win.
I just have unending respect for the people of Ukraine and what they're doing. And this is just reflective because if you listen to this show, you've heard Halia, you know how special she is. And this is why, aside from our own selfish interests of our own security, which are completely legitimate, this is why we're doing the right thing.
And it just
we're doing the right thing to take care of those people as best we can.
Sick to my stomach because Halia's been in here so many times, and you could see the anguish and agony on her face, and she's talking about her family, and she was so excited to go back for this wedding.
Yeah. So we had her over for Thanksgiving, had her over several times since then, and that's all she talked about. And like you say, though, Steve, it's not just fighting to help them. We're helping ourselves. It's in our national interest not to let Putin invade a sovereign country, a democracy, and run him over because of his dreams of restoring the old Soviet empire. So, listen, they're fighting our war too, and it drives me crazy that I see people from my party, the Republican Party, saying that we shouldn't be there, and we should be there. And we should be there as great a force as necessary, in my opinion, to get it done. But this story brings it home to me how real this is. People are dying every day. I'm sure there's 10 stories like this in Ukraine.
Yep.
Now, Maeve has not been able to speak to her directly, so they're communicating mostly by message on Instagram, I know, but hopefully she'll be able to talk to her soon. But, as Maeve said, with wisdom beyond her years, there's no words. There's nothing you can say that can make this better, take the hurt away or whatever. Just say that you're going to be there. You're there to support her now and going forward. And she had already, Holly, I'm talking about, taken on too much for someone her age. That you wouldn't expect them to, but she was taking care of kids who were orphans before she came here. She's taking care of little refugee kids here. And it was funny because, Pat, I think you and I talked about this, and she told a story off the air. She said the kids come here, they're learning English, but if the Russian topic comes up or the word Putin comes up, these cute little 5-year-olds will drop an F Putin. And she said, I'm not correcting them. And why would she?
Because they're tough people. But think about it. If your country gets invaded, if they're going to take you over, you're going to fight back. We do the same, but we need to support them. And the thing that I respect so much about Halia, in addition to what you just said, is she's forever grateful to the United States, saying, thank you, we need your help. And it's always put in that you've been in here with her. She says it 10 times.
She's an amazing kid. And after this happened, she reached out to Maeve, your daughter, and said, make sure Steve talks about this so people are aware of what's going on.
Yeah, because of you, Steve Cochran, she's become quite an ambassador for the Ukrainians here in the Chicago media market.
Listen, I've just hooked her up with some people and helped it. Unfortunately, our media brothers and sisters, they get it, and they wanted to talk to her too. So God bless you, Halia, and your family, and we're thinking about you. And I wish we could do more than that.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that, Steve.
Prayers, of course. All right, stand by now for the March Madness previously discussed. We'll tell you how you could maybe make a little money. And please don't forget about helpheroesofUkraine.com. Very, very important. And you'll feel good because you're doing the right thing. We will jump to this right now. See, here's the cool thing about a podcast. I can sound like I don't know what I'm doing because it's just me in my office. Let's go to Teddy and Mark Carman right now on Live from My Office. All right, special edition of Live from My Office. We're actually calling this, I just came up with this phenomenal name. Let's call this Jackpot Drive-Thru. This is a quick window on online wagering. We talked about this with the great Teddy Greenstein from PointsBET, ex of the Chicago Tribune and a million other places. And my friend Mark Carman's here. Mark's my wingman for all of this. But boys, I want to start with some exciting news. Neither one of you are going to ask what the exciting news is?
I can't even control my excitement right now that we're doing this, Steve. So, but please, what is the exciting news?
I just got my 40 time from the combine. I just got my 40 time from the combine. It's eventually. It just came in just seconds ago. So imagine how well that could have gone if you guys were actually on rhythm.
Are you going
So
one
are you
overall?
Did you just get your time, or you just finished the race? I'm sorry.
No. Eventually means I'll eventually finish. Yeah.
Got it.
You know, yeah, I run the 40 in segments. So I don't want to get too winded. All right, so Carms, let me start with you quickly here and reintroduce you to everybody. Everybody knows you're from radio, and everybody knows you're from a whole bunch of TV and a Chicago sports legend yourself. But what is your primary timekeeper now? Where are you working?
So I'm hosting the CHGO Bears podcast, Steve, which is basically daily at noon with my guy Adam Hogue, who's Mr. Football, and a great cast of other characters, including Corey Wooten, former Wildcat, who
Corey Wooten.
I mean, how do you not love and Teddy, of course, has been on the show. Steve, you're invited anytime. I'm actually upset that you haven't, been on to this point. I don't know why we haven't done that, but certainly the future is bright. And we do Bears After Dark on Monday nights where I talk about my sex life. It's an outstanding program, and I highly recommend it.
When you talk about your sex life, you meaning the lack of one? Is that where this is going?
I talk about who I think about having sex with, Steve. Yes, and gambling on the fact when it will happen. Yes.
And just to bring it full circle, it's not Corey Wooten.
It is not.
Yeah.
But a shout out to Woot, who knows his football like no other, and is a tremendous. He represents the Cats. He represents the Bears. He represents athletes. He's just he's a great man. I'm a big fan. And also my guy Greg Braggs, I'll throw a shout out. Bricklayer turned podcaster, Bears fan, diehard. Guy brought a sign to Wrigley Field when the Cubs were finally winning a World Series and crying with his mom. He's Chicago's very own Greg Braggs. I'll give him some love. And
Teddy, PointsBET, you guys are killing it at PointsBET. Frankly, I think you're working too hard, but you're always smiling whenever I see it.
Well, I mean, the newspaper business was very, very good to me for a while. Love the Chicago Tribune. But then, as we've heard, newspapers have been, bit of a decline. So I made the move. It was like the easiest decision of all time about 2.5 years ago to PointsBET. And we compete with all the big boys. And actually, Illinois is our strongest state. You probably see our ads incessantly on White Sox and Bulls and Blackhawks telecasts, Paige Sporadic, Dancing on the Green, that kind of stuff. So I became senior editor. So a lot of content. When I'm asked to do podcasts like this, I immediately say yes. Some TV and radio hits, and I produce our newsletter called The Hustle. And then I added a job called Senior Manager of Player Development. And in our world, the player is a bettor, which I think is kind of fun. So I bring in new bettors and keep them happy.
Let's talk about that for a second, because the initial concern was, we open up the world to sports gambling and we'll all be swallowed into a giant hole and we'll never be heard from again. It hasn't worked out that way. It's added an extra element of fun and competition to the game. And you can get involved casually and play the Super Bowl and go away, or you can have some fun all year long. So develop a couple players. What do they need to do?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple thoughts on that, because it's true. My parents were kind of like, oh, my son is now involved in sports gambling. I said, yeah, a couple things to know about that. One, nobody's going to suddenly see an ad on TV and think, you know what, I got to bet $10,000 on the game tonight. They either have it in their blood or they don't. And the vast majority of our bettors are betting $5, $10, $20 just to make the game more interesting. I think what we're doing at all the legal sports books are, we're taking it out of the shadows. So for the longest time, guys were betting through bookies. And it's a bad idea to do that because you're betting on credit. You're betting with money you don't have.
Right.
And also, now that it's all legalized and upfront, everybody can be much more vigilant. Like if somebody is throwing down $70,000 on the first half under, in the Kennesaw, Ohio game, there are going to be alarm bells. So people are going to say, wait a second, is everything on the up and up here? But when it was just people betting, through their bookies, nobody was going to know about it. So I think our industry is a good one, and people have to remember it should be for fun. There are some people who are treating it as a second profession, and some people who make a lot of money doing it, but most people should just have fun with it. And so I've got a code if people want to ever sign
what is that code?
So the code is TEDDYG. Very, very creative and clever to come up with that. And I would just tell people, just hit me up on Twitter is the easiest way. and I'll explain how it works. But the simplest explanation is it's a 100% deposit match up to 2,000 spread out over 4 weeks.
Great.
So if you put in 2K, you're going to get $500 in free bets for each of the next 4 weeks. So hit me up on Twitter at Teddy Greenstein, and I'll get you started with an account.
And how do you spell Teddy Greenstein? Teddy the traditional way?
It is. There's no IE going on there. It's Teddy Bear, as I like to tell people, and then GREENSTEIN.
Carms, we want people to learn this biz a little bit and get comfortable with it. But you're in this biz. Do you have an advantage that the non-player does not?
Sometimes I think you do, Steve, actually, if you are talking to people in the know and you're getting some of the behind the scenes stuff. This dude doesn't want to play. This locker room is broken. I mean, that information isn't just getting to myself or Teddy or whoever. I mean, there's a reason there's the dudes out there that they call the sharps. That people have information, but information is key.
Yep.
These guys were out last night till 2 a.m. They don't give a rat's patoot about this back-to-back. They're, that type of stuff can be valuable, and obviously it's not foolproof. But does this make logical sense to put in a little extra on maybe throw an extra unit or two on this Lakers Celtics game, whatever sport really? I think it does matter.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you're dating Carm, you can get that side of inside information. If not, Teddy, where are you getting your research if you really want to put a little thought into your bets?
I'll give you guys a quick example of when information really paid off. So for the NBA draft last year, Paolo Banchero, the Duke star, about 5-6 days before the draft, one of our guys went on our content call and said, right now he's plus 950, so roughly 9-1 or 10-1, but we think he should be more like plus 225. So a bunch of us bet it. And during the week, there was some talk that maybe the Orlando Magic were going to take Banchero instead of Jabari Smith out of Auburn. So the week goes on, and now Banchero's more like plus 400, plus 300. Adrian Wojnarowski drops a bomb and says, no, it's going to be Jabari Smith. So then the odds change. And then right before the draft, Woj comes on and says, don't be surprised if the Magic end up taking Banchero. And I watched as the odds suddenly changed in real time. Bottom line, there were people in our company who made 6 figures on that. And it wasn't because they were doing their own scouting. It was because there was some information coming from the Magic. So it happens. There are really interesting situations like that, like the NFL draft.
Yep.
Anthony Richardson, quarterback from Florida, he was 100-1 at one point, and now he's like plus 350. So there's a lot. Information is really, really powerful in this industry, and I certainly have alerts for guys like Schefter and Woj on my phone. So when injury news comes out, people can react quickly.
Yeah, and if you're new to this world again, and you've got a love of tennis like you both do,
yes.
Or a love of golf like Teddy and I do, you can pay extra attention to that, and you can find new ways to play the game while you watch that you didn't know about before. And I think PointsBET, if you do the app, you'll see PointsBET does a nice job of laying it out, explaining it, and teaching you up as well.
Well, and since you brought up tennis, Steve, I mean, that sport's had a lot of problems because if you do not get to the top of tennis, you are struggling to make a living. So a lot of guys who are, call it 100 to 200, who don't know how they're going to get to the next tournament, they have been susceptible to throwing matches and getting dough. Which is another reason to what we're talking about as far as gambling being legal. You can see that a lot clearer than you when I was in high school and you guys were in high school and you're making the bet with your buddy down the street who's connected to someone somewhere. So there is more transparency, but that actually it's an interesting that you brought up tennis because that's a sport that's had a lot of problems around it.
I'm old enough. My bets were placed on stone tablets and run from village to village.
And come NCAA tournament time, Steve, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but the Northwestern's got no respect all season long. They are consistently an underdog, and just like Teddy's saying here, 2 seed it got the 5th best odds. They are a tough team to play when you're not used to it. Northwestern plays a very aggressive style defensively, doubling all over the court. It's hard to prepare for. So come tournament time, I really like the Cats.
And when take the under, take the under in all those Northwestern games. People do not realize how good that defense is.
And we get to a point where it's March Madness. Everybody wants to play. People that don't pay attention to college basketball or sports all year long. It's like the Super Bowl. Everybody's in once it comes down to March Madness. And usually it's the nice lady in the office that's the assistant HR director who takes all the money. So for folks who are only playing this time of year, but they want to know more than their friends do when it comes to March Madness. They don't want to just play the squares at work. What should they be looking at? I'm talking about once the field is set. Which conference are the number one seeds going to come out of? And where do you see the champs coming out of?
I wouldn't necessarily look at conferences, and Teddy can dive into this, but Steve, you're looking for veteran backcourts. You're looking for good defensive teams. That tends to win because in the tournament you are going to get tight. Your season is on the line. It is human nature that it's going to be just a little bit less free out there on the court. So you want teams that have been there before, and you want good defensive teams. Those teams tend to, which is why Michigan State has had so much success in the tournament, because they tend to, that the defensive side of the court, Izzo's got that locked down.
It's an unusual year in that if you ask, casual sports fans right now, hey, who's the best college basketball team? I'm pretty sure none of them are going to say Houston. And yet Houston is favored to win the NCAA tournament at plus 600. They certainly know Kansas at plus 800, but like Alabama is next to plus 900. I don't see Duke. I don't see North Carolina. It's very unusual that way. So, people will say, oh my God, it's wide open and anyone can win. And that's probably true. One thing I would tell you, an option here for betting that we have on site that's pretty cool is conference of outright winner. So like Big 12 is favored here at plus 275, because then you get Kansas and you get Baylor and you get Texas. So you're kind of spreading the wealth here. An interesting one is the Pac-12, because Arizona has a great defense and UCLA has a great, the other way. Arizona has a great offense and UCLA has a great defense. So that gives you options. Or you can go with the Big 10 at plus 650, realizing that our beloved conference has not won a national title since 2000.
How about that? I didn't even realize that. 23 years.
Sad.
So of all the romance here are the Loyola sneak in and Sister Jean's on the Southern. By the way, Sister Jean's book is out. You should buy it. She wrote a book about her life in her first 100 years. She's 103. She was a guest on this podcast, and I don't even have the heart to tell her we're talking about her on a gambling podcast. But I'm sure she'd love it. She probably has the PointsBET app as well. Having said all of that, we love the romance of a Loyola. Where's the fun money going to go this year?
By the way, can we create a code, Sister Jean? Would that be sacrilege? Would that be
No, it'd be a tribute. Are you kidding?
Exactly. It's a tribute. It's because we love her. She's got more wisdom than all of us combined.
She's amazing.
Carm, who do you think is going to be some of the fun underdog teams? I'm gonna glance as you're talking.
Yeah, so that's a super interesting proposition here, because as Teddy was underlining, Steve, Duke, Carolina could actually be considered a fun underdog. I mean, Carolina, some people don't have them making the tournament, which is just crazy. And they were the number one seed, number one ranked team going into the season. So I'll give you one. They just won the Valley, and they did it in convincing fashion, and they've got huge firepower. Give me the Drake Bulldogs. They if you're looking for an off the board, run around the office, I've got Drake. That team can score points, and not bad on the defensive end too. So there's one, but I also just
and it's weird, right? Because it's a tough question to answer, because the momentum builds and you get somebody that makes a run and suddenly they go from 64 to 32 to 16 and it's a whole new world. But there's going to be somebody who generates that kind of excitement. Teddy, anybody jump for you?
Well, I mean, Northwestern's going to be the darling for a lot of people in the Midwest, although everybody in other parts of the country are going to get sick of the whole, Purple Mafia and people like Seth Meyers and Rachel Nichols and Julia Louis-Dreyfus stepping up to support. I would say this, I was looking at Drake and, the team, not the artist, 350 to 1 to win it all. So that's probably a little aggressive. But that's where you look and you say, I'm just going to bet them, to make the Sweet 16. Last year, if you had the foresight to bet North Carolina to make the Sweet 16, I think you could have gotten like 8 or 9 to 1 odds, even though they're North Carolina. So I think that is going to be the move. One, it's fun to pick a single game upset, but if you have a team getting through to the Sweet 16, and we know there will be some unusual ones, that's where you get a nice payday.
Carms, last word on hoops for you. Why do you love it so darn much?
Well, Steve, I mean, come on. This is not something that I need to answer, but I will. It's just the best sport going, and I love tennis to the end of the earth. But every possession, Steve, the drama of each thing. I watched Teddy with his family watching the Bulls and the Pacers, and just an absolute battle for the Bulls trying to get in the playoff game on Sunday. I mean, that was a great Sunday afternoon. The kids were having fun. Bulls need to do something with Benny the Bull. That's a story for another time. This whole popcorn thing, dumping it on people paying $150 to sit in the lower level, and they got the furry thing dumping. Like, who wants that? Nobody. But yes. And let me just give you my off the board thing that I don't want to happen. So I'm going to bet it so it doesn't.
Yeah.
But the LA Lakers have loaded up. They had a phenomenal trade deadline. They're winning games right now without LeBron. The dude's going to get healthy. The Lakers are 55-1 to win it all in an NBA where there isn't a great team. Now, Kevin Durant at Phoenix, that's going to be a big-time challenge. But KD's gotten hurt a lot lately. He's aging. So, and LeBron's okay, fine, maybe not the best player in the game right now, but he's still top 5, and nobody thinks the Lakers are going to do anything. I would, to me, that's worth a flyer.
Yeah.
Carm, jump on PointsBET. You can get plus money for them simply to make the playoffs, plus 165. So if you're feeling good about the Lakers, jump in there.
Teddy, tell everybody one more time how to email you to find out what to do so then they can get on like I am. I'm a player at PointsBET.
I love that you're in my stable. You're in my book.
One of your guys.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm at the far end of the bench.
Well, maybe, but last time I checked, you were winning. So
yeah,
absolutely. You're crushing our company. We're gonna have to cut you off soon. Teddy Greenstein at gmail.com. Or the best way is to DM me. DMs are open, just like Carm's. Carm is hoping the ladies out there are gonna hit him up. I'm more hoping for the guys. I mean, I love female bettors as well. There's just not that many of them.
Right.
So my DMs are open to guys and girls and men and women, and then I'll hook you up with that TEDDYG code and get you going.
And we're going to have to come back, Carmen, do this again, but you got to tell people where to see you on CHGO.
So, yeah, hit up the YouTube. Just go to CHGO Sports, hit that subscribe button, and, the football podcast rolls every Monday through Friday at noon. And we do the After Dark on Monday nights. But and then there's, content pouring out of there all the time. Hit up the old Twitter space, CHGO Bears. Go to CHGO Sports on Instagram. CHGO, baby, we're trying to make a dent here in the old the new sports radio station, if you will, the new wave. That's Brandon Spano leading us to victory over there. So it's been a ton of fun so far, and they just hit their 1-year anniversary. So congrats to those guys. They picked me up halfway through, which I was thrilled they did.
Yeah, and I love what you both are doing. Because I've always been a huge sports guy, and I love what PointsBET does. And Teddy has seamlessly shifted over, brought his genius to PointsBET. And Carms, you're the best. Nobody's been a bigger fan of you through the years, and it continues. And I appreciate you doing Jackpot Drive-Through with me.
Steve, this was awesome, and I am now having a flashback to when I was an intern at ESPN 1000. You made me wait underneath Whacker Drive for Carol Marine to come out when she retired from NBC5. That was a moment in time. Carol, Steve Cochran wants to know why you're retiring and what the hell you're going to do with your life, Carol. My name's Carm, by the way.
Okay, Carm, look at it this way. When I had interns at the auto show, I tried to see how many we could fit in a trunk for any Chicago mobsters that were listening. Did you have a 3-intern trunk? So it could have gone that way for you as well. So,
you took care of it. Thank you.
Listen, get on PointsBET. Check out CHGO. Hear me in the morning, every morning on the Big 89 WLS. And, of course, listen here, subscribe, rate, and review to Live from My Office. Thank you, boys.
Loved it.
Our pleasure today.
Well, there you have it. Your key to making the big money. Please, once again, help heroesofUkraine.com. That's helpheroesofUkraine.com. You can go there, make a contribution. And also there are events locally all over that could make a difference. And maybe you could start one yourself. But you know the story. And we are praying for our friend Halia and her entire family in Ukraine, and all families, obviously the people we don't know and will never meet. And I can say this on the podcast easier than I could say it on the radio. If someone driving a truck in Russia would run over Putin today, that'd be swell. That's all I have at this time, other than a thank you to Miranda Ellis filling in for Ross Cochran, making sure this podcast is up and ready and tight and makes me look smarter than I am. I know it's a low bar. Meanwhile, we'll see you on the radio, and we'll see you back here next time on Live from My Office.
Thank you for listening to Live from My Office, a service of Monkey Run Productions. All rights reserved. The podcast is hosted by Steve Cochran, and it's mixed, edited, and produced by me, Ross Cochran. Steve is available for corporate speaking gigs. He would love to MC your event, and occasionally, he's funny. Thank you for listening. Head to cochranshow.com for more.